Hi. So here I am, just getting ready to do some potatoes for dinner tonight, and I wanted to do like a scalloped potatoes, and I'm not very, I haven't made scalloped potatoes in years actually. Just never think of things like that. So what I'm gonna do is it's a vegan scalloped potatoes because I don't want any dairy in it, and I don't want any, dairy mostly. So, what I'm going to do is chop these up in little slices, and then I'm going to put the onions in between them. And I'm going to use some nutritional yeast because nutritional yeast is just so good for you, and it gives it that really cheesy flavor. So it'll have like a cheesy, oniony scalloped potatoes, which should be really good. I like to get something in the oven so that I can go back out in the garden and then work right until it's time to eat, and then I don't have to come in and think about cooking because I think that that's a really big problem for myself, especially, is that you've got all the good intentions of coming in and making a really healthy dinner, and then you end up either working until you're too tired to really feel like being creative. Well, yeah, that's usually my excuse anyways, is that by the time you come in you're just like, oh man. So I do like to try and do things ahead of time, and also that one might be a little too thick. I like to do things ahead of time, and the other thing that I do like to do is to have it so that this is going to last like 2 or 3 days, right? So I won't have to think about this part of the meal, whatever I decide. Like, I could just have a really healthy salad with it, and try and get that piece skinnier. And some vegetables, maybe some broccoli or cauliflower, carrots, or something like that. So I already will have like a potato thing, which I don't always have, but I don't know. Potatoes are kind of a comfort food, especially if it's cold. If it's cold, I love salads, but if it's cold, I want something nice and warm. And I've got 2 pieces of onion here. I made things earlier and I didn't use all the onions, so I'll just use the rest of this. Actually, I'm going to take this piece off. So yeah, and the other thing is, if you can get used to using a lot of spices, this really helps you digest. I'm not an expert on that at all, on the exact spices to use, but I do know that using things like cayenne, which is something that I'll put in to the scalloped potatoes, I'll put in the cayenne, and the nutritional yeast is super good for you. The cayenne is really good for circulation. Lots of times I'll put in things like ginger. I mean, not in this case, but what I'm going to do for the milkish part is like a coconut milk. You could sprinkle coconut oil on this. You don't need to be using things like butter. You can use coconut oil, which is just as yummy. And my arrangement isn't very professional, but anyway, you get the hang of it. And so anyway, you want things that help you digest, and so the cayenne helps. Other things that help you digest are things like fennel, which is one of the reasons that they give you those little colored fennel seeds. If you go to an Indian restaurant, they'll give you that. A lot of restaurants will give you those little licorice candies. They kind of taste like sambuca. I'm not a fan at all of that, but they give you things for digestion. Mints, of course, very well known that most restaurants give you mints for digestion. So when you do have a heavier meal like this with potatoes or starches and maybe heavier stuff, make sure that you do something to help yourself digest after dinner. There are things called bitters. That's why they would give you, gosh, I don't even know the culture, but I know that bitters are used to help digest. And so, of course, the bitter herbs would be like dandelion. Anything that tastes bitter in your mouth helps to get the digestive juices going and help you digest. So anyway, we're just going to stick these in here because it doesn't really matter. I could take a picture of it and have it look all pretty, except that you guys have already seen it. You've already seen how I'm creating it, so there's not much point in making it absolutely beautiful right now. But it's still not bad. That potato's done. So what we're gonna do is sprinkle the nutritional yeast over it. Liberally. I don't know how much that was, but you can see it's quite a lot. And a little bit of Himalayan sea salt, a little bit of black pepper. Whoops. I like it spicy, so I mean that might be a little too much for you, but it's not too much for me because I really like spice. And then I'm going to add the almond milk, which I forgot to bring out previous. So I'm just going to dribble that over top, kind of get it to drop down to the bottom. Use that for the liquid in the bottom. So there's absolutely no oil in this, which is nice too. Okay, so what I'll do is maybe just to make it look pretty, the part that I washed off, I'll put some more on. What I'll do is I'll bake this through at about, I'll come in about half an hour or 45 minutes, and then I will give it a little stir around, you know, and just check on it. So I will put a little bit of a foil cover on top of that. I don't have a glass lid, but that's going to be super yummy for tonight, and so I just thought I'd share that with you. Just something different. Okay, see you next time.